Hi friends, have you ever gotten so sick that you wonder if you could have done something differently? So in this video, I'm going to share with you the top 10 natural ways to fine-tune and adjust your immunity to optimize it for prevention and recovery. You're not going to want to miss any of this video because no one thing is going to be the magic bullet. And no, I'm not going to keep you in suspense. Here's a list, but it's meaningless unless you know why it's important so that you can get these things done. You can always chat GPT any of this, plug in, what do I do when I get the flu? And here's what you will get, which is not bad, but it could be so much better. There is just no way to completely escape germs because you literally carry them around in your body. First, your throat feels a little dry, itchy, and then scratchy. Then all of a sudden, your nose is plugged up and you're breathing out of one nostril. Then you think you could muster through the day that your body's so tired that all you want to do is sleep. There is a war of survival. And if your immune system is strong, you'll wake up the next morning refreshed. But if it continues to battle these germs, then you may be experiencing fevers and chills, aches and pains, and sometimes the showering of snot, mucus, vomiting, and diarrhea. Now, what if you can change that course, shorten it, and maybe even prevent it when you want to? Millions go to their doctor and request an antibiotic as if it was the standard of care. But then most people, they just get more diarrhea and drug-resistant bacteria and maybe an allergy like a rash. And then you realize it didn't work and you feel worse. 75% of outpatient antibiotics prescribed by all providers, especially those who aren't infectious disease physicians, are known to be inappropriately prescribed. Antibiotics are not immune boosting. Now, the naysayers don't think that there is such a thing as immune boosting. So then, how does a peanut allergy cause a throat to close or a face to blow up if it isn't boosting the immune system violently? On the other hand, have you ever gotten so sick where you felt like your immune system checked out and wasn't working for you? Obviously, your immune system can be turned on and off, but not on command. However, every day, your immunity fine-tunes to whatever stressor that you are exposing yourself to. Number one is sleep. Sleeping from 2 a.m. to 9 a.m. is very different than sleeping between 11 a.m. to 6 a.m. You're still sleeping 7 hours each time, but you just don't feel the same, do you? While you're asleep, your body releases cytokines, proteins that your immune system uses to fight germs like viruses, which causes most of the respiratory infections that people experience. And again, FYI, antibiotics don't work against viruses. They are not antiviral. It's worse than taking a sugar pill because you can get lots of bad side effects. Why do you need to know about cytokines? Because too little or too much gets you sick and keeps you sick. However, you have the power to fine-tune your cytokines. Certain cytokines fight infections like interleukin-6 and TNF-alpha, which actually increase during deep sleep, making timing and duration of sleep a critical part of recovery and prevention. Hence, if you're not sleeping well every day, and you know if you're not sleeping well, and usually those people can't get their 7 hours in or get interrupted sleep, or they're sleeping after 12 midnight, you're not allowing your immune system to perform at its best. And that's because cytokines are metabolically expensive to make, and it's dependent upon your body's natural circadian rhythm, which is your internal clock tied to the rise and fall of the sun. So when you're fighting sunlight, you're fighting your natural internal biological clock, the natural remedy to optimize your immune system. And it's not a cheap fight. It's also really expensive to make these cytokines. Cytokines are protein. Think about what other tissue that you have in your body that uses protein. Your muscles, right? In fact, they are the largest organ in your body full of protein. Now, in order to make more cytokines, you probably should stop moving your muscles and give yourself time to rest. Because every time you move your muscles, it sucks up energy and then it needs to repair. Your body only has so much bandwidth in energy currency and the energy to repair. I find it so fascinating that our own brain can be our body's best friend and its worst enemy. How many many times does your brain put your own body down? How many of you are fine with your body parts until your brain looks in the mirror? How many times does your brain not allow your body to rest? If you really think about it, your brain subconsciously doesn't realize it's attached to your body. And the brain's sole purpose is to do things that make the brain feel good. So it'll make your body hang out at those late night taco stands and gorge at the tacos at midnight, or buy junk food at movies sitting still for hours, or spend an enormous amount of savings for concert tickets dancing through the night only to find yourself hungover the next day, unable to show up for work. And for sure, the brain isn't caring for the body, and it can see the body. It's definitely not going to make decisions to care for your immune system because it can't see your immunity or these germs that you're trying to fight unless you train it. And this is where making yourself a sleep schedule and sticking to it on a daily basis, regardless of what your brain feels like doing, is super important to get restful sleep, especially if you're beginning to feel like you're fighting something. It takes a boatload of energy and drive to make cytokines and the necessary soldiers and other weapons that your body needs really every day to protect you from these tiny microscopic aliens that literally want to take over your body. It's no joke. It's a metabolic war. And if you have diverted energy away from your immune system by overdoing physical and mental tasks, well, your immune system is going to suffer and it won't be able to do its job. You know, these distractions and tasks are to your body like kryptonite is to Superman's body. The good news is that you can fix your sleep habits to get restful, early sleep to allow antibody production, fever generation, and tissue repair so that you can prevent, and if you get hit, you can recover so much faster. On the other end of the spectrum, sleep also protects you from a dysfunctional immune system, low antibodies, low cytokines, to keep you sick for longer. If you've ever gotten the flu, it often comes with fevers that peak at night, and your sleep cycle adapts to those fevers. Fever suppresses REM sleep, but promotes deep, slow wave sleep, which is more restorative for your immunity. That knocked out feeling you get during the flu isn't just exhaustion, it's your body pushing you into the stage of sleep that is best to fight these viruses. But millions of people struggle to fall asleep. So here are some sleeping tips. Number one, start with a dark, cool, quiet room. Really, your lights should be dimmed out of direct view for about 2 hours prior to your bedtime. And keep the bedroom slightly cooler, about 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which is important during a fever, which raises your body's core temperature. So a cooler room can help you stay more comfortable. It's important not to overheat your body because there's an ideal body temperature for all that metabolic equipment to work properly. And you may want to elevate your head because keeping it down or, the opposite way can promote more nasal congestion and postnasal drainage. And that can interrupt your sleep. Sometimes people hum before they sleep. If you hum about 10 minutes, you'll be surprised at how well it can relieve some nasal congestion. The air in your room should also have the right humidity. You can achieve this with a humidifier or maybe a hot bowl of water so that it can moisten the air in your room. A diffuser would also work. All this can help to thin the mucus so that you're not coughing as much because it gets stuck in your throat. I actually diffuse essential oils, which help me reduce inflammation in the respiratory tree. The European Pharmacopoeia actually has an official list of 25 essential oils, which include eucalyptus, peppermint, and tea tree, all to help with adult respiratory tract symptoms. And to be clear, I'm not ingesting these oils, I'm diffusing them. And I only diffuse vetted brand due to contamination and counterfeits. I remember my dad, he used to use Chinese white flower oil, which was a blend of eucalyptus oils. And my mother-in-law, she also loved eucalyptus essential oils too. She used it as a remedy for aches and pains, as well as an ant repellent. Ancient cultures have used essential oils for eons. But in America, for some reason, we don't want to do that. We want to do something unique. So we like to extract and process chemicals out of essential oils like menthol and then add it into petroleum. And then we wonder how people get lipoid pneumonia caused by overuse of petroleum-based products. Now, when a product gets a full page on the poison control page, don't you think you should pay attention? Number 3 is to stay hydrated. That's like a no-brainer, right? Sounds a lot easier than it actually is, especially if you're having fever, not feeling so hot or not feeling so good. Some studies suggest that 70% of people are walking around around on a daily basis dehydrated. Now, I'm not sure if that's the accurate number, but I do know dehydration is really common and will always suppress the immune system and make you more susceptible to getting lots of different infections and prolong any infectious disease. And everybody knows that if you don't drink enough water, you're more at risk of urinary tract infections too. Your urinary tract is like a river. It needs to keep flowing so bugs don't grow. And in the wintertime, there's also a lot of respiratory germs, and your mouth is like a water fountain dripping saliva. So if you're dehydrated, you're not going to have saliva. Then you're not going to have the antibodies and other proteins like defensins that are in your saliva to help you defend against germs.
Hi friends, I am so thrilled that you want to take charge of your health and take charge of your food. Now, I know nutrition can be complex, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm here to support you in this lifelong journey. So if you point your camera app to this QR code, it'll take you to a link for a free handout that I created just for you. And if you like it, if you want to see other handouts, please go to the link in my show notes, and then you can leave me your feedback on what I could do to help you in your journey. Okay, back to the video now.
You know, if you can get it before it attacks your body, then your body doesn't have to fight it. And then you have gunk in your lung. How does that gunk come out? Well, you have brushes called cilia that pushes them against gravity. And when you're dehydrated, the cilia doesn't work either. And fever just makes dehydration even worse. So when you have a fever, I disagree with ChatGPT on how you should treat it. Now, what is a fever for? A fever is a cytokine immune response. It elevates your core body temperature to squash these buggers. It's a defense mechanism. It's not the virus burning you up, but you trying to burn up the virus. So it's a protective response mounted by your hypothalamus, your brain's temperature regulator, to reset your body's set point, driven by various cytokines like interleukin 1 and 6 and TNF alpha. And if you don't have this cytokine response, that can be a reason why people get sick. Then you won't get fevers. You know, high temperatures boost T cells and interferons to come and, they ravel up the cavalry, attack and squash these buggers. So do we really want fevers to go away? Well, not always. Sometimes you may want to not take that ibuprofen and acetaminophen because when you reduce your fever spikes, you may prolong your illness. But of course, you have to sleep, right? So sometimes it's better to take them to help you sleep. And then you have fevers that go out of control. So the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics, they have guidelines that help clinicians decide on whether or not to give people fever reducers. And it really depends on the age, the underlying medical condition, and how high the fevers are to make that decision along with vital signs. However, I would say if your drug is on the front page of poison control, then you probably should read that information. And technically, these drugs are not natural. However, ginger is. Now, ginger has been used commonly as an ancient remedy around the world to treat colds. So how does it work? Now, remember, inflammation causes fever, right? Well, ginger has anti-inflammatory effects. It's shown to reduce the exact cytokines that cause fever. But preliminary studies also show that ginger stimulates macrophages and dendritic cells, really the first-line defenders to flag these buggers for the immune system. And ginger increases interferon production, a cytokine that stops viruses from multiplying. It also boosts circulation. You get more blood flow, which helps immune cells to travel faster to infection sites. If you've ever tried ginger, you know it burns. Those burning compounds in ginger, gingerols, shogols, and pyridols, they block inflammatory enzymes like CLOX2 and NF-kappa B. Ginger is a natural expectorant to make mucus easier to expel. Ginger's antioxidants also can protect cells. It reduces tissue damage and speeds up recovery. And you know how a lot of times you lose your appetite when you get sick and you feel just kind of icky? Well, ginger reduces nausea by acting on serotonin receptors in the gut, and it smooths the stomach during illness. And since 70% of your immune system is literally in your gut, a calmer digestive tract means better immune resilience. And on top of that, ginger has vasodilating activity, which again improves circulation in your nasal passage, easing sinus pressure. And then it reduces sore throats, muscle aches, and swelling in the nasal passage. A lot of its effect is similar to ibuprofen to reduce inflammation, but it doesn't have the side effects of ibuprofen. My dad was a huge believer in ginger and used to make me drink ginger tea whenever I got my cold. He did not want me to take any medication. My brother, who graduated from Harvard as a biochemist, he drank ginger every day. And I admit, I'm not as disciplined as him. So oftentimes I cheat and I just pop a ginger capsule, unless of course I get hit and then I'm drinking my ginger tea. But if you're on any medications or if you're pregnant, you should always consult your doctor if you plan to take any herbal supplements, especially at high doses. Now, my dad underwent some medical training and he did not want any of his kids to take any prescription or over-the-counter medications. And I often found that odd until I realized that all these medications, they have a ton of side effects. Number 6 is vitamin B1, which is a natural vitamin found commonly in whole grains and legumes. If you're eating white bread, white tortillas and white rice, and cake and muffins and cookies, you're not eating whole grains. The part that's missing had the vitamin B1 called thiamine. And to be fair, many US companies, they do fortify the white refined flours with some thiamine, but most people don't realize that our modern refined foods, you're basically walking a fine razor's edge with thiamine levels. Enriched flour and products like cake and cookies and white breads, it adds back just enough thiamine to keep the population from developing beriberi, but not enough to give you a metabolic buffer from life's stresses. So when you eat foods that are high in sugar, alcohol, or heavily processed carbohydrates that don't have thiamine, like soda, candy, or unenriched white flour, those are stresses. They're actually draining your body's limited supply of thiamine. Thiamine is actually required to burn those calories to use as energy. So this means your intake might match the bare minimum to process the food itself, but nothing extra is left to handle those unexpected stressors of life, like fighting an infection, recovering from illness or surgery, managing those high-carb holiday meals, or coping just with alcohol. Even small deficiencies, it adds up every day, every meal, and it leaves you more vulnerable to fatigue, brain fog, nerve problems. And these are all even worse when your system is pushed. The RDA amount or the minimum amount you need to prevent a disease like beriberi or Wernicke's encephalopathy. But people forget vitamin deficiency isn't a dramatic 180 change. There are subtle signs along the way that people ignore. It's not like a car where you can fill up the gas tank and it will drive until you're absolutely out of gas. That's not how the human body works. The cells that turn over the fastest or the ones that have the most metabolic demand, they suffer first. These are like your brain, your skin, both inside and out, and your immune system. These are critical parts of your body to maintain your health. And thiamine is just underappreciated. And yet it is the most important vitamin for your health. And whenever doctors, we see people who come in confused, we are always thinking whether or not that person has thiamine deficiency, because it is just so easy to replace. Now, number 7 is a natural way to address the aches and pains that are pretty common when you catch a cold. Most people, what do they take? Like acetaminophen or ibuprofen with a ton of side effects. Those are definitely not natural. I prefer magnesium, unless I have kidney problems. Then I'll stay away from magnesium. Magnesium, though, is involved in over 300 unique chemical reactions inside everybody's body. It's responsible for a healthy immune system, for a healthy blood flow, for muscle contractions. And those who are low on magnesium, they have less blood flow because they have higher blood pressure. They have more muscle spasms. They are constipated. They are sore. They're fatigued. They're weak. And they're also going to struggle to get their vitamin D levels up. Pretty much millions of people are walking around low on magnesium and they don't even know it. Now, there are different forms of magnesium when you go in the store, and some will exacerbate your bowel movements. So a person struggling with loose stool will have even looser stools if they take the wrong form of magnesium. Hence, there is such a thing called milk of magnesia that people use as a laxative. Magnesium doesn't just impact your muscles. Your immunity also suffers. So I personally take a magnesium supplement daily just so that I don't get low. And as a good rule, everyone should always check with their own medical doctors for specific recommendations on any supplement. Another common complication of colds are fever blisters. Now, do you know what fevers and blisters have in common? The root cause. And that root cause may or may not be an infection that triggers the immune system. It could be a toxin, but nevertheless, the immune system is reacting, and the symptoms are fevers and blisters, sometimes ulcers, sometimes rash. And many people don't realize that it takes B vitamins to repair these skin findings, right? Especially the ones inside your mouth. And a specific B vitamin is vitamin B2, number 8. That's another essential vitamin necessary for your immune system. Now, your skin is the largest immune organ and it lines your entire mouth and intestinal tract. Like I said, you don't have to go to zero to have symptoms, right? Your mouth and your tongue will feel raw, look inflamed, taste may be off, and you may not have enough B2. Now, if you give your body the right nutrients, like vitamin B2, if it works, oftentimes you'll know by the next morning that you'll feel an improvement. Just like vitamin B1, vitamin B2 are considered to be two of the safest vitamins because they're water soluble. And as physicians, we've given pretty high doses when the body does not have enough to replenish people's stores. And if they get enough, they just urinate it out. That's why you have to have healthy kidneys to supplement at these high levels. And when you look at your urine, if you get enough vitamin, you'll see more vitamins in your urine. And vitamin B2 is yellow, so your urine will be more yellow. My friend notices that when she eats better, more vitamins come out of her urine. But when she doesn't eat well, less vitamins come out of her urine. Your body is pretty good at regulating these water-soluble vitamins. And anyone who thinks that all vitamins are expensive pee, they simply have no idea how to use these powerful, essential nutrients for health. And all I have to say to them is good luck on your longevity journey. You're going to need it. Now, number 9 is my favorite drink, green tea. Even gargling with green tea has been shown to reduce respiratory colds in the elderly and in school-aged children. But I think it's better to swallow the green tea. Now, I drink a cup daily to get those catechins in, those antioxidants. And when you drink green tea, you're essentially drinking a green leaf. Now, number 10 is naturally needed in your body, and my favorite crime fighter, NAC, or N-acetylcysteine, which has been shown to reduce flu-like symptoms. Now, this amino acid is crucial to support your largest detoxifier. Remember, glutathione, the master antioxidant for your entire body. And guess what? Remember that magnesium and vitamin B2 I mentioned? They're also super important for that glutathione to work properly. Did you know that the WHO has a list of essential medicines and NAC is one of them? I consider it to be a nutrient. Now, I'm sure you are surprised that I didn't mention zinc and vitamin C, which I admit are both super important. And if you want to learn more about them, watch the next video.